Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
When you join Sam's Club, you get way more than you'd expect. You don't just get value. You get insider tips from fellow members. You don't just pick up a pizza. You actually vote on its toppings. Bacon crumbles. You don't just visit the club, because with the Sam's Club app, everywhere can be the club. You don't just shop the latest finds. You find your people. And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Come join us. Sam's Club.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello, and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about Star Wars canon versus legend. I am one of your hosts. I am Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I am your other host, Ben of Temeria.
And we're here. We're here to talk about a planet. A special planet that is featured in almost every single piece of Star Wars media. Every medium that you can experience Star Wars through, you will experience this planet in some way.
Yes, you will. And obviously, we are on part 2 of Tatooine, which is we are going over the canon history of Tatooine, of the planet. And yeah, it's like literally it's in almost every film. Almost.
Yeah, it's not in Empire.
Well, it's not in the sequel trilogy, I should say. It's in...
No. Yes, it is.
Is it? Oh, no, you're right. It is at the very end of Rise of Skywalker. That's right. So it's present in all 3 eras. Obviously, the comics, games, all that fun stuff. But yeah, Tatooine. We are talking about Tatooine today. So, to kick things right off, Tatooine was a planet located in the outer rim of the galaxy, removed from the core. It had 3 moons, and I will butcher these names. Gormianson, Gurmessa, and Chilinini.
Sounds good to me.
And long ago, Tatooine was covered in oceans and rainforests, but with unknown reasons, it became a hot desert world. So, yeah, I don't know how I can picture Tatooine that is with oceans and rainforests.
Yeah, I don't really know, but we do know that, especially from like the KOTOR games, if you do the non-violent route, which is if you take HK-47 to the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders Enclave, you can learn a little bit about the history of the Tusken Raiders. And they talk about how the planet was not always a desert, and it wasn't until the Cotton Empire came and drank all the resources. I'm sure you talked about that in one from the Legends material.
I believe so.
Yeah.
That was a couple episodes back, so... But yeah, Tatooine orbited twin suns, Tatoo 1 and Tatoo 2. The whole planet was covered in harsh deserts, and only a small part of the northern hemisphere could sustain intelligent life. The landscape was covered in sand dunes, mountains, and canyons, which made traversing the planet very difficult. Due to the absence of surface water, those who live in Tatooine had to draw moisture through dry air. And this is why we have moisture farms. That is literally the only purpose.
Yeah, moisture evaporators. So they basically just take moisture out of the air, which I don't know how sustainable that really is. Because let's think for a minute. We know, let's use our science brains. We know that the rain cycle basically like water evaporates into the air and the sky. They form clouds. Those clouds pass down rain. It creates groundwater, and the cycle continues over. There are no bodies of water on Tatooine. So, in theory, how is there moisture in the air?
Very good question. I'm going to say the sweat of everyone who somewhat lives on the planet.
Sure, sure. That was, but in real like science, I don't know. Those of you who have played Starfield here are not know it's the new big game, and it's great. I think Tatooine should look more like Earth does in that game.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Thing with comparing Starfield to Star Wars and Tatooine to the Earth of Starfield, Tatooine at least has an atmosphere.
Yes.
That's the one key difference. And if you haven't played Starfield, go play it and go visit Earth, because it does not look
It's depressing.
Good. It's very depressing.
If you have anxiety about climate change and impending planet death, don't go to Earth.
No, not at all.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Yep. But anyway, so rain was incredibly rare in Tatooine, coming once a year, decade, or century. When the rain came, some plants were able to grow in brief yet glorious period. Inhabiting the planet were many native species, the largest in which were the carnivorous krayt dragons. The common krayt dragon, while more plentiful, was shadowed by the greater krayt dragon, which submerges itself under the shifting sands and uses powerful limbs to traverse through the dunes. In addition, the common bantha and eope species also found a home on the world, along with dewbacks, rontos, womp rats, mastiffs, and scurriers. And the cities of Tatooine were frequently blasted by sandstorms, and inhabitants always seemed to know when was coming. Not much distinguished the towns, as the poor standard of living was common. The cities were separated from each other by large expanses of deserts. Rural life, on the other hand, was mostly small moisture farms that sold water and food for a meager living.
I just have one. Where do krayt dragons get water? Where do dewbacks get water? Where do rontos, womp rats, massive scurs? I mean, I know that krayt dragons, well, no, almost every living being needs water in some way.
True.
I have so many questions, George.
I mean, with dewbacks, when I think of a dewback, I think of a camel.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a way to where they don't need a whole lot. But yeah, the question still stands, like, how do these creatures live if there is no inhabitants of water to drink?
George, I have questions. And don't say the Force.
No, because this is not a Force question, because this is not magic. This is actual science. Yeah,
well, seriously,
I don't know. Unless they like somehow can dig underground and there's like a reservoir under the earth or something. I have no idea.
If I ever meet George Lucas, this might be one of my questions, along with why didn't Tarkin and Vader just blow up Tatooine if they knew the plans were down there?
Good point.
It's not like either of them really care about the planet. I know we wouldn't have a movie, but...
True. I don't know, maybe Jabba the Hutt and the Crime Syndicate with the Hutts. I don't know, who knows?
Well, look. We already know that they knew that the Hutts were funding the rebellion.
Good point.
They could
That's
always
true.
just say they were traitors to the Empire.
Also true. But now we have some culture for Tatooine. So an annual holiday celebrated on the planet was Bunta Eve. The holiday was celebrated in honor of Bunta Hestilik Shadru, a Hutt who rose to be a god. The economy of Tatooine largely ran on water and crime, with the Hutt clan taking near full control over the trafficking and smuggling trades. New civilians had a large time breaking into the criminal market, even though it was the most lucrative than the water market. So people go there specifically to start trying to get crime because it's earns a living. But it's hard to do that when you have, an entire cartel who specifically is home to that world.
Right.
So now we will be diving into their history, into the planet's history. So in her early history, it was a homeworld to the native Jawa and Tusken Raider species, and presumably with the vast oceans of surface water, lush rainforests, and flowered fields. According to the legend of Lahan, Tatooine was also known inhabited by the group called the Cucamongra during this time, but was very little evidence to support the story. Sometime in Tatooine's history, the whole planet became a desert and unknown means. When the oceans dried away, much later, it would be colonized by early settlers and explorers who mistook the planet for a third sun, owning its highly reflective silicate surface. Which, I mean, the entire planet's red, so, yeah. And then, as a result of the sporadic and unsuccessful colonization ventures, the planet became a haven for smugglers and criminal activity, while scattered, isolated settlements of hardworking inhabitants attempted to earn a living in the wastes. A long-ago mining boom saw the widespread use of the sand crawlers on the desert plains in an effort to mine variable minerals. However, after it was discovered that most valuable minerals could be found on the surface, along with most minerals having unwanted materialistic properties, the sandcrawlers were abandoned and eventually picked up by the native Jawas to use the shelter and mobile bases, from which they collected scrap from thousands of years, crashed spaceships, and failed mining projects. Because the Jawas take everything from you. Period. And then
they're criminals.
Jawas
That's what they are.
Whoa. Jawas may be criminals, but they're adorable criminals.
I mean, that's true. And Ewoks are murder teddy bears,
And cannibals, apparently.
Well, are they cannibals? Do they eat their own?
Well, we don't know that for sure. But they eat other people.
They do eat people, yes.
And then off-worlders elected various cities in the desert, and colonists who decided to stay on the planet built moisture farms. The Bomar Order on Tatooine kept the disembodied brains floating in the jars that hung below the spider-like droid bodies, built a monastery on the planet which would eventually come under the ownership of Jabba the Hutt Churl as his palace. So, Jabba's palace was a monastery for an order that kept disembodied brains.
Doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it is a very, darkish palace, so...
Yeah.
And then most wealth eventually found its way into the city of Mos Espa, and with most of it procured from the gambling and off-world trade, especially through the lucrative black market, the influx of criminal adventures fueled Mos Espa's growth, eventually securing its regional importance as a hub of economic and financial activity. With high tariffs imposed by the Hutts, some believed themselves able to escape paying them by doing business in the planet's de facto capital. However, often found themselves scammed and broke, if not gambling through simple bad luck. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, I just don't do dealings with criminals and gamblers.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have some scum and villainy. So this is in the last decades of the Galactic Republic. Tatooine was known as a haven for smugglers and criminal activity, including slavery. The Sand People regularly attacked Fort Tusken, earning them the name of Tusken Raiders. It was the home of the human slave named Shmi Skywalker and her son Anakin. And then we get the events of Phantom Menace, where, Qui-Gon, Padme, Jar Jar Binks, R2, and all of them, Obi-Wan, go to Tatooine to fix a hyperdrive, and then they find Anakin, and then the rest if you watch Phantom Menace. And then we also have the events of the Clone Wars, which is the second film, not the animated series. So, Anakin and Padme go back to the planet, and Anakin, you see his tendency to go to the dark side.
Yeah.
He killed the not only the men, the women, and the children. He killed them all. Yeah.
It's a miracle that Padme still fell in love with him after that whole scene. Like, hey, I'm a mass murderer, and I did it because I hated them.
Yep. Yeah. Grant, I mean, it's hard to condone Anakin's actions, but I can understand in the moment why he did it, because he just saw his mother killed and tortured by Tusken Raiders. I get that. But you didn't have to kill all of them.
This is my whole thing about it. He kills the women and children, and it's implied that Obi-Wan does know happens with him. And it's implied that Yoda knows too about this situation. Ahsoka is expelled from the Jedi Order for the accusation that she killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. But Anakin, they physically knew he killed a bunch of people. Granted, they were Tuskens rather than, civilians and whatnot, but still, the act.
Right, but he's not expelled. Furthermore, not only is he not expelled from the Jedi Order, they give him someone to teach.
Yeah, they give him a promotion from Padawan to Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
And then gave him a Padawan.
To be fair, the promotion doesn't come till later.
True, but eventually he gets the promotion later down the line.
I am just, at this point, I seriously question the decisions of the Jedi Council. Sometimes. I think individuals are good. I don't think Mace Windu is a bad guy, and I don't think Yoda is a bad guy. I think they're reacting to situations as they see fit, but as a group, they suck.
Oh, absolutely. During the Clone Wars and during the Galactic Republic era, yeah, they make very bad moral decisions.
And part of it is they're kind of and we've talked about this, they sell out. They become arms of the Senate rather than,
being independent, being neutral, like they should be.
Right, but even back in the Old Republic, they're still making questionable decisions.
True.
I mean, I feel like the best Grand Master of the Jedi Order is Cecile Shan, and he still makes incredibly questionable decisions.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, but it's a whole mess. But for the most part, Tatooine avoided the Clone Wars, and nonetheless, a Jedi-led mission to Jabba's palace occurred, with the Jedi hoping to rescue Rota the Huttlet from the Separatist alliance. And then later during the war, Chairman Papanodia and his son Ion Papanodia headed to Tatooine to track down the bounty hunter Greedo, who had been kidnapped members of their family. 3 years after the start of the war, Skywalker fell to the dark side and joined the Sith, old adversaries of the Jedi who long planned to take over the galaxy. The Galactic Empire, a new regime to establish and replace the Republic, started to hunt all Jedi. Skywalker's former master Obi-Wan Kenobi went into hiding on Tatooine, bringing the infant son of the fallen Jedi with him. On the desert expanse of Tatooine, Kenobi hoped that he would keep young Luke from his father's evil influence. Kenobi entrusted the boy Shusmi's stepson, Owen Lars, and his wife, Beru. And then now the time of hardship. So in 9 BBY, the Grand Inquisitor, the fifth brother, and the third sister had landed on Tatooine looking for the Jedi on the run from the Empire. The Jedi, quote-unquote, Nari, had escaped the Inquisitors originally, but eventually found and killed. The inhabitants of the planet were surprised by the arrival of the Inquisitors, since Tatooine was not part of the Galactic Empire, and the reasons various imperial organizations, such as the Inquisitorius, did not have jurisdiction on the planet, and therefore the entry of the Inquisitors on a planet outside the Empire's hegemony, was illegal. So they're not typically allowed to leave outside the Empire's space and land on planets that are not part of the Empire, because the Empire doesn't want bad rap or problems with other planets. But it's not like they care.
Like, yeah, seriously, like, who cares at this point? Like,
right? Yeah. And then later, Bail Organa shows up on Tatooine looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi's help in finding his daughter, Leia Organa. The third sister eventually returns to Tatooine looking to murder Luke Skywalker. The third sister redeems herself and decides not to hurt Luke and brings him back to his uncles. In the years following Emperor Palpatine's formation of his new order, the great drought on Tatooine scorched the world's surface, impoverishing the many moisture farms of the reliable source of income to produce food and other basic supplies. The situation was not helped by Jabba's thugs collecting quote-unquote water taxes from many towns and isolated settlements across the planet, when often resorting to threats and brute force to acquire enough water for the crime lord. With Obi-Wan Kenobi witnessing the suffering of the population, he disabled the weapons of the thugs and allowing the populace to chase them off. And later, a young Luke Skywalker attempted to confront the thugs. He was ultimately rescued by Obi-Wan after falling unconscious for a brief scuffle. With the legacy of the Jedi safe, Obi-Wan vowed never to return to town, while a week later, the drought finally ended and Jabba vowed revenge on the man who stolen his water to no avail. See, wherever Obi-Wan goes, he makes enemies somewhere or another.
yeah, I know. He's just always causing trouble.
And then, in addition, the Empire's rise prompted the Hutts to revise their oftentimes shady business schemes, resulting in a transfer of regional wealth and influence from Mos Espa to Mos Eisley, prompting the slow economic decline of Mos Espa. And then in 2 BBY, the former Sith apprentice Maul traveled to Tatooine to hunt down his old nemesis Obi-Wan Kenobi. Unable to draw the Jedi Master out of hiding, Maul used the fragment of the Malachor Sith holocron to lure the Jedi rebel Ezra Bridger to the planet. Ezra traveled with the C-1 series astromech droid chopper to Tatooine. The two rebels were attacked by Tusken Raiders, who damaged their RZ-1T trainer. After being lost in the desert, Ezra and Chopper were rescued by Kenobi, who revealed Maul's deception. Kenobi instructed the two rebels to return to Atolian, while he defeated and fatally wounded Maul in combat. As Maul died in Kenobi's arms, Kenobi confirmed Maul's suspicion that he was hiding the Chosen One.
Alright, so this is my beef with Dave. Because, and I don't have a lot of beef with Dave, but I do have some beef with Dave. One of this is stop making me relive Order 66. For serious, like, can you please stop making me relive Order 66?
And almost every series that has came out on Disney Plus, they've redone Order 66.
Right. So there's that. Second, Luke is not the chosen one.
No.
This is confirmed by George himself.
Yep.
Anakin is the chosen one. I mean, I'm sorry, you all who want to talk about, Rey being the chosen one or Luke being the chosen one or something else, but Anakin is the chosen one. He is the one who brings balance to the Force. It's through his redemption, he defeats Palpatine. Luke plays a part in that. And maybe I can get a point of like Obi-Wan believed Luke to be the chosen one because he had decided that Anakin wasn't the chosen one.
Right.
So I think that is a possible take you could take. But seriously, people think like Anakin is the chosen one.
Yes, Anakin's the chosen one, and if you don't agree with that, go watch the newest, like, episode 5 of Ahsoka. That episode straight up shows you Anakin is absolutely the chosen one through that episode.
Which, if you want, I have theories about how that little thing is not the world between worlds. And so I just want to point that it is not the world between worlds, because I don't actually believe it's the world between worlds. I believe it is something else. And I have theories. But hop in the Discord.
Interesting. All right. Well, I need to know more of that later. But at this point, we are going to take a quick mid-break and be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Palmolive. Family time isn't just the big moments. It's weeknight dinners, sitting around the table, everyone talking all at once. So when the plates are empty and the sink is full, use Palmolive Ultra. Palmolive's most powerful formula removes up to 99.9% of grease, leaving your dishes sparkling clean. And the new convenient pump makes cleaning even easier, so you can spend less time tackling dishes and more time together. Shop now at palmolive.com.
This summer, say I do.
I am marrying a stranger.
Like never before.
Am I crazy?
It's a whole new Married at First Sight on Peacock.
Thank God I woke up in love.
With new experts.
My name is Dr. Lisa.
My name is Paul Brunson.
More couples.
This could be the start of a very successful marriage.
And more surprises.
Or maybe not.
Everything is just not enough.
You're a little bit crazy.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
I want my fairy tale ending.
Married at First Sight, now streaming. New episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock.
Well, welcome to the middle of the show, where we take time to thank our patrons. And so thank you to all of our patrons who support us. We greatly appreciate it. We love having you on the show. When you come on, if you would like to join us on the show, you can go to patreon.com/Holocron Histories and sign up for our Jedi Master or Dark Lord of Sith tier. And you can come and hang out with us and have a great time with us. And that's great. If you also want to support us, but you can't financially, you can go leave us reviews or ratings and comments on Spotify. If you leave us a 5-star review and some kind words, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show. Ben, do we have a comment to read?
Not this week.
Not this week. Okay. So other than that, like I mentioned before the mid-break, you can come join us on Discord. You can join us on the Cuts Podcasting More Discord server, Ben's Discord server, Ben and Friends Podcasting. You can join us on the Robots Radio Discord. All those links are in the episode description. Come talk about Star Wars with us. We love it. If you want to chat with us live, you can join us as we go live on 8 p.m. Eastern on the Ben of Temeria Twitch channel. We typically go live on Tuesdays. I know we're going live on Monday this week, but yeah, I don't know if that's
my work schedule is all over the place right now. Monday might be the best going forward. We will see. So
stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more information. And then lastly, you can catch us on our other shows. I host the Assassin's Creed Lorecast and the Dragon Age Lorecast. You can find me there with my other co-host, She-Cup. Or you can find Ben on his other shows, the Wizarding World Lorecast, the Final Fantasy Lorecast, and newly, the Witcher Lorecast.
Yes. And I am so happy and excited to be on that show now as a permanent host.
Have you released the episodes with you as perma host?
Yes, we have one episode from last week, and our newest episode will go live on Wednesday.
Woohoo!
So there will be 2 episodes with me start as of Wednesday as perma host. It's so much fun being on that show, and expect me and Toasty to go off the rails and have side tangents because we are very similar in the ways of The Witcher. So we are very versed in the Witcher lore.
Elder Scrolls Off the Rails. That podcast. It's like there's a podcast with Off the Rails in their name.
Yes, there is, and I'm pretty. Yeah, I think you're right.
Elder Scrolls Off the Rails. I don't even know if they're still releasing episodes, but they're in the network.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I don't have anything else to add. Do you?
I don't think so.
All right.
Hop back in.
Let's get to it.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Ouch. This knee is killing me. But I can't stop training. The marathon is in 2 weeks.
Let's get on ZocDoc and find a doctor to take a look at that for you.
Okay.
Here's a review. Dr. Craddock really takes his time.
No, I don't have time.
What about Dr. Charles? His patients say he can help find a quick fix, and he's in network.
Great, now we're talking. Book it.
Booked. 1 mile down, 19 to go.
Bring it on.
You've got options. Download the ZocDoc app today.
All right. Now that we're back, war finally comes to Tatooine. So, shortly after the Battle of Scarif, in the Galactic Civil War, the droids R2-D2 and C-3PO land on Tatooine surface in an escape pod after the CR-90 Corvette, the Tantive 4, was captured by the Imperial 1-class Star Destroyer Devastator. And then we get the events of New Hope, so go watch A New Hope. It's great. It's the first Star Wars film. And you'll see that, and you'll get the line from Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like, These blaster shots can only be accurate from an Imperial stormtrooper. And then you get throughout the entire film and they can't hit a darn thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're embarrassing.
It's so bad. It's like we get that one great line. It's like, oh, they're great marksmen. And then we get to the gate throughout the entire series. They're not good marksmen.
No, they really are not.
And then sometime during the Galactic Civil War, the Tusken Raiders, under the leadership of a Juland general, attacked local settlements. He and his followers were ultimately defeated by a gang of mercenaries located on world. And then, having allied with the Rebel Alliance, the gang led the rebels into a series of successful operations on Tatooine that would conclude with the defeat of the Empire's 68th Legion and Tatooine garrison. Nevertheless, the Empire would come to reestablish its presence on the desert world, with Lieutenant Ardo Banch serving as an officer in the garrison. And then shortly after the Battle of Yavin, a shuttle with the emissaries in the employ of Jabba, who were meant to negotiate a deal to provide support to the Empire at Weapons Factory Alpha on Kaimun 1, was intercepted by the Alliance to restore the Republic, and a strike team consisting of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Leia Organa proceeded to the factory, infiltrating and destroying it. And then, the negotiations having failed, Darth Vader returned to Tatooine to negotiate with the deal with Jabba in person. After the negotiations were complete, Vader remained on Tatooine shortly to wipe out a Tusken Raider tribe and hire bounty hunters, Boba Fett and Krishantin, to ascertain the identity of the pilot who destroyed the first Death Star. Fett tracked down and dueled Skywalker, who had returned to the late Ben Kenobi's dwelling for education, learning his name and reporting to Vader. So wait, so not only did Anakin wipe out one tribe already during his time as a Jedi, he wiped out another tribe when he was a Sith Lord. He really hates Tuskens.
I know, and we talked about this briefly in one episode, but we talked about Darth Krayt, who is a Tusken Sith Lord. Or that they interact in a little bit, but that's more Legends material than it is. But yeah, he has a lot of problems. And like there is some story in the old Legend comics where he and Anakin interact as Jedi, and he kind of learns what Anakin did on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, after learning he had a son, Vader traveled to Tatooine with his crew, consisting of Dr. Chuli Lona Alpha 000 and BT-1 to investigate the Lars homestead and Kenobi's home. When the Rebel Alliance split its forces up to escape the Empire after its major loss at the Battle of Hoth, the young human Volida Clam and her pet Gaberworm Grutul found themselves on Tatooine after their time with the rebellion on Hoth. Vader also returned to Tatooine in the aftermath of the Battle of Hoth and the duel on Cloud City to investigate the Lawrence homestead once more. And then following the Battle of Jerka, Fett delivered Solo, now frozen carbonite, to Jabba, where he served as a wall decoration. When Alpha had taken over the Spark Eternal, her allies Sana Staros and Ko-Foon Faris traveled throughout the galaxy to collect those who cared about Alpha to save her. And then they traveled to Tatooine to recruit Clam, who was sitting atop Gluttle in a town among several other residents, though Clam ultimately did not accompany them as they traveled to a rebellion rendezvous to recruit Magna Tovil. And then we get to the events of Return of the Jedi, where, we see R2 and C-3PO go to Jabba, negotiate to get Han back. Then, Luke comes in, saves the day, and they try to be executed. And that's when Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc pit.
Yes. Great movie.
Yes.
My personal favorite Star Wars movie.
All right.
Not what I think is objectively the best, but my personal favorite.
Well, you heard it here, everyone. And then the Galactic Empire annexed Tatooine prior to the Battle of Endor. Which makes sense, because why would you deal with the planet that troublesome?
Right.
I wouldn't. And then
it makes sense, probably, if they do that once Jabba dies, it probably makes sense because there's so much instability.
Yep. All the other crime lords trying to fight for power to get to become daimyo and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As we see.
Yes. And then New Days Ahead. So following the crossing of the Imperial rule, numerous crime syndicates attempted to build legitimacy as mining companies, with one such company, the Red Key Raiders, afraid that the New Republic would eventually stamp out their operations on the planet. These companies tried to take advantage of the power vacuum caused by the death of Jabba. However, Fett lived on, having only been knocked unconscious for an unknown length of time, and dug up himself out of the Great Pit after he burned his way out. So, there's that too. An exhausted and suffering wounds from the encounter collapse, and where Jawa Sandcrawler scavenged the wreckage from Jabba's sail barge, including a set of Mandalorian armor, the enigmatic lawman Cobb Vanth then attained Boba Fett's armor, and then the Jawa Sandcrawler had went on to defeat on the Red Key gangster Adwin Charu. And then by 5 ABY, Vanth had become the mayor and sheriff of Mos Pelgo and dedicated his life protecting the town from the Red Key Raiders. He also enlisted Jabba's former Beastmaster Malakiri and helping to tame 2 unruly Rontos to raise the Huttlet named Bargo. With Malalaki's help, Cobb struck a deal with the local Tusken Raiders to protect the town in exchange for water and receiving a pearl from the stomach of the Krayt Dragon. This alliance proved important to repelling an attack by the Red Key Syndicate, led by Logan Movellan. And then in 9 ABY, the bounty hunter Din Djarin defeated a pursuing bounty hunter in the dogfight. His ship, the Razor Crest, was damaged and landed on the repair facility ran by Peli Moto and Mos Eisley. While seeking work to pay for the repairs of the local cantina, he met Toro Calican, a young bounty hunter looking to join the guild, and capturing Fennec Shan, a well-trained mercenary. And then we have the events of Mandalorian. So, yeah. Go watch Mando Season 1, Season 2. The majority of all the Tatooine stuff is on there, where you see Mando go after Fennec, then you go and see him take down a Krayt Dragon. You're on mute.
Different seasons, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then eventually, Fett returned to Tatooine, accompanied by Shand, and took over Jabba's palace. The criminal empire once belonged to the Hutt after killing Bib Fortuna, which, honestly, good riddance. I did not like Bib at all.
And just, yeah.
He got fat.
Yeah.
And then, sometime later, Fett had attacked and was injured by the Order of the Night Wind, which will later reveal to have been sent by Jabba's cousins, the twins, who wanted to acquire the territory that formerly belonged to their deceased cousin. And then we have the events of Boba Fett, or Book of Boba Fett. And, yeah, a lot of things happen in that series, Mandalorian 2.5. That's literally what it is, because Mando shows up. But, yeah. You see Krishantan again, which is fantastic in live action. That's the best thing about that Book of Boba Fett. And we get a Naboo 1 starfighter. And then now we get to the Resistance era. So with the destruction of the Sith Internal's Final Order fleet on Exegol, the First Order began to collapse as people across the galaxy rose against the tyrannical regime, ending the First Order Resistance War. Sometime after the battle, Rey traveled to the Lars Moisture Farm on Tatooine with BB-8, where she buried Leia's lightsaber and Leia's and Luke Skywalker lightsabers. Using her own newly crafted one in their place, when a local asked her name, she forewent Palpatine's lineage, going by the name Rey Skywalker, with the blessing of the Force spirits of Luke and Leia. Rey and BB-8 then looked into the distance as the twin suns of Tatooine rose. Yeah, so, a homage to Luke when he's seen the twin suns and all that from A New Hope.
Well, it's interesting. It is a very circular. It's like George Lucas' famous line: "Star Wars is like poetry; it rhymes."
Mm-hmm.
Luke watches the setting suns of Tatooine, whereas Rey watches the rising ones.
Yep.
Which is kind of the
full circle
idea there, regardless of how you feel about Rey Skywalker or Rey whatever, or the prequel or the sequel trilogies in general. That's
a whole different story. And then now we have behind the scenes. So Tatooine first appeared in the 1977 film Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, or the first installment of the Star Wars original trilogy. As its names back then, it was literally just called Star Wars. And 1977 it was just called Star Wars. There was no episode number or anything like that. And then it went to appear in 1983 film Star Wars Episode 6: Return of the Jedi, and in all 3 films of the prequel trilogy. The planet wasn't actually named in Episode 4, though director George Lucas called it Utapau in all the film's first drafts, only to rename it in the 4th draft after seeing the movie's desert location, Tatooine, French spelling, in Tunisia, for other names and whatnot. And then filming of Tatooine scenes took place around Andurba, Matmata.
The place is in Tunisia.
It's all in the Death Valley, California.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In Arizona.
Yes.
Anthony Forrest, the actor who played Luke Skywalker's friend Lays Lonzer, is an ultimately cut scene in Stormtrooper Wanton and Mos Eisley recalled the filming in Tunisia to be freewheeling experience he could enjoy. So apparently it was fun to film the Tatooine scenes. Apparently. And then according to Forrest, the moment had the spirit of independent film production, with Lucas even personally applying more dirt to their costumes, in which he declared a moment of great filmmaking that helped to create the feel of the Star Wars universe. Forrest rationalized that Lucas did so because Tatooine was where was a world where water needed to be harvested so people on the planet would not waste it extensively cleaning their clothes or equipment. And the heat in Tunisia was an issue for everyone on set. Forrest was sunburnt during the filming in Tunisia, which made acting in the Stormtrooper armor difficult. However, he was nevertheless very happy to share a scene with Alec Guinness. So he was one of the ones that asked him, like, in the land speeder, essentially. And then in 1999 film Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Tatooine's map was actually a map of the real planet Mars. So they literally just took a map of Mars and used it. There you go. And then lastly, we have real-world similarities. So on September 15th, 2011, a planet, actually a Saturn-like gas planet, in a real-world universe was discovered with 2 suns. The official name is Kepler 16b, but many call it the real Tatooine. Even NASA calls it a Tatooine-like planet. Isn't it great when NASA actually just refers to planets that are literally just from Star Wars in our own real-life universe?
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, that's Tatooine. That's just Tatooine. There you go. And then a Lucasfilm Limited employee was president of the NASA's news conference. Kepler 16b is 200 light years from Earth in the constellation Cygnus, the Swan. According to the researchers, the star system is visible to amateur astronomers. Coincidentally, the planet was discovered a day before the release of the Star Wars Blu-rays in North America.
Interesting.
It was destined. It was fate. And then
it's Tatooine.
It's Tatooine. And then January 11th, 2012, 2 more gas giants that orbit 2 suns each have been found. One is Kepler 34b, which orbits a sun-like star once every 289 days at the same distance from them as the Earth is from our sun. Kepler 34b is located 4,900 light years away from Earth. And then the other, Kepler 35b, which orbits each of the suns once every 131 days at a distance of 60% of the distance between Earth and the sun. Kepler 35b's suns are smaller than our sun and located 5,400 light years away from Earth. And then the Centaurus constellation contains a planet that, like Tatooine, orbits 2 suns, or 2 stars, which scientists once believed to be physically impossible. Well, there you go. George Lucas was ahead of your guys' time. And then some critics have seen Lucas use a desert planet as extensively derivative of the Frank Herbert's Arcus from the Dune novel series. Tatooine could have been taken as a derivative of the planet Mongo from the Flash Gordon serials. Present as a desert planet too in some media, the assumption is strongly supported by the presence of the starport Gordon on the planet Aquila in the episode 4's rough draft, the same planet which was later named Utapau in the second draft, where Gordon is briefly mentioned. Utapau is noted above, was ultimately renamed Tatooine.
I think, obviously, George Lucas has read the Dune series. And we already know from interviews, from documentaries, that he took a lot of inspiration from Flash Gordon. He just wanted to tell a classic story. And so he took inspirations from the other media around him. I don't think that's a bad thing because he still creates his own thing. And we have Spice Runners and we have all kinds of things that are similar to the Dune series. But it's not that big a deal as some people want to make it out to be.
Being in the 1970s and sci-fi really, before, there was Star Trek, but sci-fi fantasy in the way that George did things for Star Wars was completely new. And back then, there was only so much to get inspiration from.
Right.
So, there's going to be similarities between Star Trek, Dune, Flash Gordon. There's going to be similarities because there's just not a whole lot back then. But,
right.
It became its own. And now we have the sensation that we're still watching, 45, 50 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, that is what we have for Tatooine.
All right. Well, I think, any last thoughts for Tatooine? Other than it's a hive of scum and villainy?
It's hot. Very hot. But I will say you get the best droid companion off this planet.
It's true. All the best droids go to Tatooine.
And Jawas. There's Jawas. Jawas are great.
Criminals and thieves.
I love Jawas. But unless you play SWTOR, you get a Jawa who lives on Hoth. That is, I'm trying to remember what. I can't remember if that's the Sith Warrior or Bounty Hunter storyline. It's one of the two that you get a Jawa companion, but his Jawa tribe lives on Hoth. It's like, that's interesting. And you can actually ask, like, why are you on Tatooine? It's like, I hate the heat. It's like,
good.
Okay, cool. But yes, that's all I have to add.
All right. Well, then I think we're ready to wrap up here.
Cool.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
And may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.
What if I told you you only have 12 hours to legally have sex?
To finding true love. Or just like a good guy.
From the director of Easy A and Anyone But You.
This whole thing is nuts.
There's nothing traditional about this night.
On August 7th, the clock starts on the summer's biggest rom-com.
I'm Owen.
Allie.
What about you and me?
Monica Barbaro, Callum Turner.
I've been told I'm a 7.
By who? Your mom?
Nah, she thinks I'm a 10.
One night only. Rated R. Only in theaters August 7th.